Hello, everyone, and I just want to thank you all for joining me tonight for our campaign event, Brothers Speak, and we are talking about the characters, the male characters that are in my upcoming Christian fiction thriller novel, Devil in Disguise, and I wanted to do this. I wanted to have this particular web conferences because a lot of times we, as the church, we tend to comb over certain particular issues and we don't really deal with them. And as I stated in some previous recordings, that I deal with a lot of different themes as far as Christian folks and what they deal with, and that they're not necessarily hypocrites, but that they have everyday struggles just like we do. And so I invited my esteemed co-host who is going to facilitate this event tonight. And it is strictly for the brothers, but if you sisters want to sit in, that's great, that's fine. And I'm going to step out of the way and let him have his way. I bring to you Marq Powell, and he is a minister. He is a husband, a father, and most of all, he is a child of God. And he is going to just bless your socks off. So I know that you're going to enjoy this as he breaks it down for us about the men of Devil in Disguise. Go ahead, Marq.
Hey, Miss Tanya. First of all, I consider it an honor and a privilege that little old me was chosen to even talk about or elaborate on your book, and that's a good thing to do. A person that's coming out to establish a repertoire with people, a rapport. To tell them about things that are struggling with the Christian people today, and before. So I appreciate you even choosing me to even allow me to come and talk about it a little bit. The thing about it, you're saying it's a fictional book, but the thing that's important in this thing I've just read is that there are real situations. So these are things that we need to approach, or they need to conquer that's going on in our churches today. And because we feel like sometimes that we don't have to come against any of these strongholds,
right,
or familiar spirits that's going on in families and everything. So as I was looking at your characters, they are very, very on point. So I want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you.
The book is called The Men of the Devil in this book, in the disguise, the Devil in Disguise, and we will talk about the men.
Okay.
First of all, the devil, we have to understand who he is. He's a powerful being, but he has no power. He's only as powerful as we allow him to be, because we give him a lot of credit for things that he has not done. We accuse him of stuff that he hasn't done sometimes. But yet, the main part he plays on us is in our mind. If he can get in our mind, if he can get you to think certain things and plant seeds in there and give us a chance to water those thoughts, then it's over with. For example, when Eve was in the garden, she was just standing there looking at the tree. But he just come by and planted a seed in her mind and said, look, Eve, tree look good, don't it? Now, if y'all excuse the way I talk, because I try to talk as common as we talk, he said, the tree looks good, don't it? He said, yeah, she look good. So he said, looks good enough to eat too. Yes, it does. He said, go ahead and take it down and take a bite. So she denied a couple of times, but she just finally decided to take a bite. Nothing happened. And the reason nothing happened when she took the bite was because God didn't tell her. God told told Adam. And Adam was standing right there. Now, the enemy came to her, not as his own self, but he came to her in the form of a serpent, because the serpent was the most cunning animal that was in the garden. And he knew that. Now, being cunning means that he could persuade you to do anything. He could sell sand in the desert. That's how he was. So what he'll do, he comes in and he might disguise himself to look like something else. Now, this misrepresenting who he really is. For instance, let me tell you about the enemy. The devil, first of all, was called the son of the morning. He was also, which means indicate he probably was the first creation that God made. He was also full of beauty. You read that in Ezekiel. He was full of wisdom. I mean, he was smart. You can tell him anything. And then he was GQing because he had all these stones and stuff that was his clothing, the armor, the onyx, the diamond, the carbuncle, all the barbuncle, all these different jewelry was his clothing. But then it got to a point where he had something in his heart that was not good, and that was pride. So God, and everybody knows, the story, they had to put him out. But then he started coming in to this world that we have now, disguising himself sometimes as an angel, disguising himself sometimes as someone that's good, disguising himself as a good wife, a good husband, disguising himself as a good friend. And he's only out to destroy you because he sees the potential that you have. God put us here for a purpose. And because God has put us here for a purpose, he wants to end it or cause a demise of our spiritual growth. So we will not accomplish what God has put us here for to help build the kingdom up. So this book describes some of those things that the devil uses to come at us. And I want to talk about the main character. I think this is the main character. One of the characters is Ben Moore, who was the third, who was the pastor. Ben, first of all, he had an affair 6 years ago. I mean, this brother had an affair 6 years ago, and he's trying to make it where he want to keep their marriage together. They've been married like 16 years, I believe. You have to understand something. He comes into a marriage is a strong covenant between two people that love each other and two people that are committed to each other. If the enemy can get in the marriage, if he can cause some conflict, if he can cause something to happen, so a rift, then it makes a problem in the families of the church. When there's a problem in the family of the church, there's a problem in the families of the kingdom. So his thing is, if he can get in the family and tear the house up, remove the husband, get the male of the house out, then he can take away break down the church, break down the community, break down neighborhoods, break down the country, break down the kingdom. That's where he starts. So he had this affair with her, and he also had some stresses going on as being a pastor. He was overwhelmed with trying to run the church. People don't understand that preachers go through, or pastors go through a lot of things. They're human as well as anybody else. It's something how we have these different things about pastors and about the members of the church. If a member of the church gets blessed with a 3-story house, well, God bless you. The preacher get one, ain't that a shame? If somebody in the church mess up, fall, God will forgive. Let the pastor mess up. Put him out, change the lock, call the sheriff, all those kind of things. We have double standards when it comes to people that are in the church and people that are in the pastors of the church. Now, God does hold pastors more accountable, because if he's teaching them and everything that comes out of his mouth, sometimes spirits can flow over what he's speaking over his children. So he has to be careful about what he says and his lifestyle. So if the enemy wants to come in and take the pastor, so the pastor had been married 16 years, he had an affair 6 years ago, he's trying to keep the marriage together, and he's also trying to please his father, Ben Moore Jr. He's trying to keep him together, but it's a problem. When you have a male child trying to please his father. Now, what we have a problem a lot of time is young males have no father to try to please. And it causes a problem in society. And when there's no one they can look up to try to be held accountable to, then they won't be respectful to police. They won't be respectful to mama. They won't be respectful to anybody that's in authority, because the father figure holds the key to learning how to follow authority, but they don't have it there. So he has his problem, had an affair, and I'm quite sure his wife probably brings up in his face every now and then when she gets upset. And then he got a lot of problem going on with the church. She's probably upset that when he sees us counseling somebody talking to a woman too long. Well, who's that you talking to? What you talking about? Why y'all had to talk over there so long? All those kind of things. And the enemy, because the enemy planted seeds in the camp, planted seeds in her mind, and has seeds in the back of his mind, because he's trying to be very careful not to mess up again. So instead of him being very reachable, especially by females or whatever, he finds himself building up a fence against them.
Mm.
because he doesn't want that conflict to be said by anybody else. Because I'm quite sure that the wife is not the only one that knew about the affair. It got out to somebody else because he's a pastor. Now, the next one we have is his wife. What I can tell you, his wife, I'm quite sure she was outspoken, very outspoken. She would say stuff and just push his buttons. And as a wife, you have to understand that men are human and we have feelings too. Sometimes women are very vocal. This is how God designed them. Men, we take things and we put them inside. We just hold them inside of us. We don't express as much as we feel. Now, but when we do start expressing, it's probably a while later. You probably forgot about the conversation we had and all that stuff. But he started telling you what he's feeling. Now, ladies that are listening, when a man expresses himself or opens himself up to you, opens his heart to you, be very careful how you handle it, because we're not designed like that. We have feelings. We try to internalize everything. We're trying to figure out how can we fix it. It's always running through our mind. When the wife is always asking, "What are you thinking about? Can I help?" Because you have a nurturing feature about you to try to help your husband, help your man. But he's trying to say, "Look, I'm not ready to talk about it right now. Let me just try to figure some stuff out in my mind right now." But when you overdo it, when you're all in his face, or you're always trying to force him to let it go, then you're pushing him away. So allow him the chance, the space to try to figure this stuff out internally so that he can come back to you and tell you what he's feeling. But this was not the case with this wife. Her name was Angela. Angela decided that she just going to say what she feels. Angela decided that I'm going to push his button. Even though he's telling me to leave him alone, go on about your business. I can't talk about this right now. I got a lot of things in my mind. She still feel like I'm going to make you better. I'm going to tell you how I feel, and you're not going to disrespect me by not listening to me. So Angela, sometimes the enemy can use what's close to your heart to get to you. If he can get you directly, he'll use what's close to your heart. And when a person cannot find peace in their house, in their own home, then you have a bad situation. You might not have peace at work. You might not have peace at church. You might not have peace with your family. But when your peace is taken from home, there's an issue. So the enemy knew, in order to distract the being, he used his wife as a vehicle to disturb his peace. Now, if you notice, if the man's peace is disturbed, especially when they're on their way to church or something, riding in the car, or just before he's about to preach, she comes in trying to tell him, "You don't do this right. You need to try this better. Maybe you did this too long. You said that wrong. You fumbled too much on this." Now his mind is focused on what she's saying. He's distracted from being under the anointing to get up behind that pulpit to tell the people of God, tell people what God has for him to say. Because now your natural things now are influencing your spiritual things. And you can't function like that when you're distracted. And the enemy used her as a vehicle. And you have to be careful. He can use mothers, fathers, he can use your children as a vehicle to get to your heart. He can use your friends, your husband, your wife. He can use people that you thought had your back, even relatives, real close relatives. He will use them to take you down. That's why he did it with Adam and Eve. He couldn't get to Adam directly, so he used what was close to his heart, and that was Eve. Now, if you notice also, there's another character, Andrew Moore. Now, he was the assistant pastor of another church. I think the name of the church was Congress Hill, and this was Ben's brother, if I'm right. This is Ben's brother. He was the assistant pastor. Now, the situation with this brother is he was pious, right? Which means he was very religious. He reminds me of these Sadducees and Pharisees. They always trying to tell everybody what they doing wrong. They was quick to tell you how you messing up and everything. And they were trying to keep the law to the perfect thing, but they could not keep that law. That's why they were sad, you see? So they couldn't keep the law. So These jokers standing up there trying to show how I'm fasting and I'm just so weak and I'm tired. I'm just suffering for the Lord. And you got the folks doing the same thing today, carrying their big old family Bible in their hand when everywhere they go and trying to convince everybody how saved they are. First of all, you don't have to try to convince anybody about your salvation or how saved you are. Just live right. Just live your life. And then people will start noticing different things about you. Andrew was the type that felt like, you know what? My success is based on how big my church is, how all my glory and stuff comes from how successful my church is. It was all about glory coming to him. He wanted to think about me. It's all about me. The church is about me. I came out here and I prayed and they got healed. I came out here and preached and the people got up. I came out here to the church and I pulled up in my ring and my fancy car and my new suit and all the kind of stuff, trying to show how prosperous God could be. You know why? Because I live right. But he had an issue. He was always trying to please his dad too. I saw the relevancy between the two, if that's a word. I saw this between the two, both of them trying to please daddy. But you didn't see anything about them trying to please the Heavenly Father. There's something missing. When you can't please your Heavenly Father and you're always trying to please the one that's next to you, then you're missing the whole thing of what you're here for. He had another issue because of this. I don't know, because of the father issue. He felt it was okay, but he had a lot of sins. He kind of reminded me of David. David had a lot of issues, but even though David was the apple of God's eye, David has a bunch of issues. And so did this brother. He felt like his sins were used by God to help bring other people to justice. Are you kidding me? Seriously? Dude, where your mind at, man? You can't do that. That's called, you self-righteous. And that's the way a lot of us in church are. We just self-righteous. We feel like if you don't have your hair cut like mine, wait a minute. If you don't have your partner inside your head same as mine, you're not saved. If you come in here looking like you don't smell right, you're not dressed right, your hair's not combed right, you don't talk right, you don't walk right, you don't do it like me, then you are not saved. And that's called self-righteousness. And I had to learn some stuff about that myself to take that off me. It's called being I can't remember the word, but being self-righteous about yourself is something that God totally does not like. That's the same thing the Pharisees and Sadducees did. This gentleman condoned his sins, but he condemned everybody else's sins. How, if you're going to think like that, then I could very well argue, well, if he's using your sins to help people, why you not using my sins to help other people? Really? Dude, for real? Man, you need to leave that stuff alone, dude. You need to leave that stuff. I told you about smoking that stuff. Something wrong with you, man. What kind of olive oil you been laying on your head? So he goes up there thinking it's all right to do what he's doing. And then he has, the thing about it though, he was jealous of his brother. He had his own thing going. He was assistant pastor, but his brother had his own church and he was a pastor. So he called himself trying to figure out, how can I get him down? How can I discredit him? I'm always, he was just filled with this jealous spirit. And we have that a lot in our churches now. We have that a lot about other people's ministries. We have that a lot about other people's anointings. You have to understand something. Your anointing was not built to fit anybody else. Their anointing was not built to fit you. It's like a tailor that makes clothes for you. Everything that God gives you is tailor-made for you to wear. No one else can wear that suit because that suit was totally made inch by inch for your body. The devil, Satan, has been studying you ever since you were born, before you conceive. He's been studying your habits. He's been studying what ticks you off. He's been studying what makes you happy. He's been studying what makes you feel good. He's doing these things to study you, to figure out, find where is your weakness in your body to take you out. The enemy is a liar. So what he does, he figures out, if I can infiltrate some part of this person's life to take them down, then I'm going to take advantage of it. Think about Job. Job, I read it when I was reading Job. Job had the Bible says he was perfect and upright. Job could do a lot of stuff. Job pleased God because he hated evil and all that. But the enemy had studied him, and I saw something that caught my eye when I was reading. Every day he would go out and build an altar. He would build the altar because he was scared that his children would turn against God. And the devil said, there's his weakness right there. His children. The story starts off about his children, and then at the end of all those tragedies, it ends when his children getting killed. So what the enemy does, he comes in to try to take your mind, men. He try to take your mind, man. He's trying to get you to get distracted. He's trying to find your vulnerabilities. And this man's most vulnerability was pride. And the more he thought about it, the more he fired it up. And then he became so engorged with his brother's success that he felt like, I got to take him down. And he used his girlfriend. He had a mistress. Her name was Bailey. Now Bailey he would thought of Bailey being the one that helped him to get these plans together, these schemes together to take down his brother. It's something how the enemy will get you with people that really don't try to help you, but try to help destroy you. When your own people, your own kin, try to take you down, that's just not a good thing. Now, here's the thing about his wife, Paulette. His wife was very meek and just quiet. She didn't do anything wrong. She was a picture perfect example of a pastor's wife. She loved him. She didn't even question his authority. She didn't question anything that he had to say. But the thing was, he went to this other woman, and this other woman was like a forbidden fruit to him and made him feel like that I need to use her because it's God's will for her to be in my life. I don't understand that. The enemy doesn't want you to understand it. He wants you to feel like that everything the devil does, a lot of things that the devil does is for your good. It's a trick of the enemy. Now, as he went through Andrew, another one that's in this is Macon. Macon is a church elder, that same church. Macon was a young man in the ministry. He always wanted to help change the church. He wanted to change things. And we be in a church where we're just not getting fed. We'll be in a church where we're not enjoying it. We'll be in a church where it feels like we're just not getting anywhere. But the enemy would come in to make you think that you can't do anything to help change that church. You can't do anything to help change the ministry. He felt like, I need to do something. But his folks, sometimes people that he cared about, will come and talk to him, say some things in his ear. Now, they meant no good, but they'll come and say some things in his ear, trying to make him feel like, okay, if you do it like this, then we can get this outcome. But the thing is, they were trying to make him do some things that were done the wrong way. Trying to get him to do some right results, but by accomplishing by doing the wrong thing. You can't listen to everyone that's trying to get you to do some stuff. You can't let everyone in your ear, because the enemy can whisper to you by those that seem that they have your back, and then you find out they're the ones that have been stabbing you in the back. It's hard especially when you have church hurt. When you have those that come in and you're thinking they're going to help get you where you need to go, but yet they're the ones that are trying to destroy you because they have hidden agendas. Then you have Lucas. Luke was the pastor, but Pastor Ben Moore's son, the third, okay? He was a teenager. This boy was smart, but he also saw what was going on with his dad, his uncles, granddad, all these folks in the church. And we as church people don't realize that our young people are looking at these same things. We'll do things, they watch what we do, they watch what we say, they watch how we take care of things. We have to be careful how we allow other people to influence us and how we let other people influence our children. My son, he's turning 20 this month. And when he was a little boy, we would go to Burger King and get sausage croissant for breakfast every morning. And then we would go down to his daycare and we would have breakfast. Well, because me and my father wouldn't have that kind of quality time like that, so I wanted to do that with my son. He was in preschool. So one particular day, he gets in the car. I put him in the car in his car seat and had the sausage croissant, and I passed him his sausage croissant. And I heard him say, Dad, because that was something we used to do. We used to do this called buddies for life. We do buddies for life. And he said, Dad, we buddies, right? I said, yes, son, we buddies. He said, for life? Now, he couldn't talk that good, so he said, for wife? I said, yes, son, for wife. He said, Dad? I said, what is it, son? He said, I want to be just like you when I grow up. Oh, man. You could imagine how I could have felt. I mean, he could have picked anybody. He could have picked Big Bird. He could have picked Barney. He could have picked Nick Jr. He could have picked Batman, Superman, all them folks. He could have picked anybody, but he chose me. Now I could let my sound see my chest starting to cave in and my bottom lip starting to tremble. My eyes starting to water. Because I'm Dad. So I looked back at him and said, okay, son. So God gave me a revelation. In my prayer time, as I look up to God, I said, God, he looks down at me and said, what is it, son? We buddies, right? Yes, son, we buddies. For wife? Yes, son, for wife. I look back up, God. He said, what is it, son? I want to be just like you when I grow up. Can you imagine how he felt if I felt that way about my son, how much more he felt like that about me? I can see God. We talking about the master of the universe, the most powerful being that ever created. We talking about the God of all creation. And can you imagine? I can see him sitting in his throne and his chest starting to cave in and his eyes starting to water and his bottom lip starting to tremble. And Gabriel come and ask him, what's it, God? What's the matter? He said, hush. He said, one of my babies just told me he wants to be just like me. When you have your children and you want them to be with God, you have to live like it before them. It's one way to live a certain way at church, but what's more important is how you live away from church. Wow. And when God gave me that revelation, and I go into youth ministries and trying to help them, I do a lot of humor and all that kind of stuff because they learn differently. You have to teach them differently. They listen differently. We as grown people have to understand, just like Lucas, he was watching his parents. He's watching the church people. And if you cannot understand that your life is that important, that you are influencing folks without even saying a word, then you need to check yourself. You're not that holy. We mess up. I'm not so prideful that I can't tell my son, I'm sorry, son, I was wrong about that. I'm not so self-righteous that I can't go to a sister or brother at the church or anybody else and be respectful and let them know, look, I'm sorry. I appreciate you. I thank you for what you do. We need to lift each other up. But we'll take our young people and put them on the altar and leave them there. You don't believe me? When Abraham took his son up there, Isaac, and put him on the altar, he went by, if he just stepped by what God had said, he would have killed him. But he went by what God was saying. He said, don't do it. Take your hand off of him. We're still stuck about on what God said instead of going by what God is saying. So watch our young people. Be careful with them. Now, Greg was the pastor and a friend of Ben. He passed a friend of Ben. So he was strong, desired to please his family, and he was having a happy family, but he ran into many obstacles, threatening the ministry. Get you some people that'll fight with you like Greg. Get you some people that help you out. Get some people that got your back. Get some people that support you. And when they see conflicts going on in there, they'll come in and step in and try to help everybody out. Okay? I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for listening.
Just want to thank Marq for coming in and just breaking some things down to us and making it plain. And I just really just appreciate him coming and sharing some of his time with us tonight to discuss some of the character themes that are not just only in the book, but that we deal with in everyday life in this Christian walk. So I really appreciate that. And I really do hope that you all got something from the video. And please don't hesitate to go to the Facebook the fan group that I have already available, and leave me something, tell me what you got out of it, what you liked about it. And we're going to be doing some other stuff to finish promoting this book. We're going to wrap it up next month by God's grace, and the book will be released soon. Stay tuned. Within the next couple of weeks, pre-orders will start also. And if you have anything that you wanted to say to our facilitator tonight, you can also leave something in the group as well. And I'll make sure that, you get his contact information from there. And once again, I just want to thank Marq for coming. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed everything. It was just such a blessing tonight. And for all of those that are viewing with us, we just thank you for joining us, and have a great night. Bye-bye.